restaurant. And we have another level. Our largest level is called the Hollywood Lounge, which can, the capacity is about 600 people. And tonight, if you want to come tonight, the participants of the Miss Ghana contest are going to be there. We're going to be hosting them. A lot of entertainers are going to be there. Miss Bell is performing.
Okay. And which place, I'm told, is a very good place for networking? Which is the presentation you're going to be focusing on today? The value of networking.
Yes. Well, the Accra Bar is used for networking by a lot of business people. I see them come there in the afternoon for lunch, and then they go down there and also in the evenings. So Accra Bar is there for you to network.
Okay. So later on, we're going to also get to hear about bringing the Western Union franchise to Africa. But I'd like you to meet your participants, and your class is here. First of all, you start. So you take the microphone, introduce yourself, and then he also gets to know about you.
I'm Andrew Niboniquest, Mapex Investment Limited. Mapex Investment Limited is a investment holding company with subsidiary in the real estate sector. Thank you.
Right.
Fantastic.
Gloria Bachman-Yankson, Senior Partner, Planet Ghana. Planet Ghana is an event planning, event communications, and brand communications firm.
Okay. I can see the pitching exercise worked for you because you're able to tell about yourself in as briefly as possible. You go ahead.
Mary Theresa Yada, Ejani Clothing. We make clothing of all kinds for both men and women and for all occasions.
Okay. Crisp.
I'm Tony Senaya, Horseman Shoes. We are into footwear manufacturing, shoes, sandals, and slippers for men and women. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, my name is Abdallah Abdurrahman, the CEO of Third Eye Security Services Limited. Third Eye is into man garden, event security, and undercover services.
Esther Boachia Jiban from Anibetis Company Limited. We are into anything food and event decor. Thank you.
Robert Gosh Kwati, Cement Top Up. We are into retailing of mobile airtime with the telecommunication networks in the system. Thank you.
Kenneth Ahiaduvo, Proxy Serve ICT Systems. We are into the provision of ICT centers for institutions, especially those in the rural areas.
Adam Abukari, CEO of Exceed Media Limited. We are into media and publishing. We showcase the splendor in printing.
Yawasama Creative Trends. We are into advertising, events management, publishing. Icon Chemist is a community pharmacy, and Icon Fitness Center, it's a gym.
Okay, so beautiful. Now, what does it take for them to have a citizen as a prefix to their names?
Well, you have to be a good person. You have to contribute positively to your community. You have to pay your taxes. And you have to enlarge your vision to include the global community. You are a citizen of the world. You start with being a citizen of where you were born, the community you were born into, and then you will gravitate to become a good citizen for your nation. And I hope all of you will become great citizens. You've started great. The variety of business propositions that you've told me about are all very great, and it's going to help Ghana develop, and you will be great citizens. Very soon you can add citizen to your name.
All right. So right now we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to go into your presentation, which is the value of networking, and then we'll also get to know about your bringing the Western Union franchise to Africa. So you're on Multi TV, on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, and you're also listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM and online Multi TV World/streams. My name is Israel. We'll be back after this break. So you're welcome. We're going to go straight into the presentation. We have Dr. Kofi Amwa of Progeny Ventures, and he's here. He's more known for Citizen Kofi and also for Western Union. So right now, his presentation, by the way, is on the value of networking. But getting to know you a bit more, we'd like to know about the Western Union franchise which you brought to Ghana. And for now, I'm just going to sit down. For the past 2 days, I've been standing. Today, I'm going to sit together with you.
Raise your back.
We don't have any presentation today, so let's go. So tell us a bit about the Western Union franchise. How you got to bring it to Africa?
It's a long story, but I'll make it brief. Basically, it was a search for a reliable mechanism for me to send money to my mother. I didn't have that lot of money at the time, $200 a month, and I had a lot of difficulties. I would send it through people coming to Ghana, and the money would never get to her. I would send it through the post office. It was impossible. Somebody would always be able to tell which envelope contained money. So the light bulb went on, and I said, well, in this country, in the United States, they have this Western Union business, which everybody knew. If you wanted to transmit money to somebody in another city very fast, within minutes. So I realized that it didn't exist on the African continent. So I couldn't sleep that night, just kept thinking and thinking, because I wasn't the only person experiencing this problem. All my friends, our culture demands that if you're doing a little bit better, you help those in your family. And so I realized that if I could find this mechanism, it would be a big business. You see,
the point why the reason why I'm bringing up this point is you're a businessman who identified an opportunity. There was a need which you felt should be met.
Correct.
And that was your business.
Exactly.
How long did it take you from inception to, putting it in motion?
It took about a year and a half because the company wasn't interested to come to Africa. There's too many problems in Africa. Instability, political instability, the AIDS pandemic. The media in America was not very kind to Africa at all. So it was a hard sell. Okay. As a matter of fact, my first approach, they told me, sorry, you're a nice guy, but we don't even want to go to Africa. So how long? So, I was insistent. I kept sending them letters and all of that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I was able to convince him that I didn't need any money from him. I'll do it on my own. I'll borrow money. I'll do the travels and all of that. But the difficulty was when I came to Africa to explain to them the proposition, the opportunity. So the problem too was here, and I had to convince and convince and convince. Okay. But anyway, in business, you must be tenacious. You must believe in your concept. You must know that you need to sacrifice. And persistence, as they say, is 90% of success. So this is what I think made us able to bring Western Union to the African continent. And once we did Ghana and they saw the volumes, then I was encouraged to do the whole of the African continent.
Okay. So which is the first lesson you're teaching us? But now let's go on to our presentation, the value of networking.
Oh, networking is the greatest value for every human being. And for you business people, it's something that you cannot belittle. You are born into a community, first your parents, as your first network, and then the community that your parents live in. And the networking is basically a vehicle through which you yourself, as the business owner, and your business in totality becomes bonded to the community in which you're doing the business. Now, for you to be efficient, you need to understand the forces within your community. And the people in your community need to understand who you are, number one, and what your business concept is. So networking is that channel, different channels of communication, different channels of organizations, different channels of individuals through which you bond yourself and your company to the marketplace you're doing your business. Now, as a business, you want to make a profit. And the process of making the profit is providing a service or a product. And in most businesses, the product you're going to make, you are going to buy certain things from certain people that we call vendors. These vendors will become very critical for you because sometimes the way you purchase the inputs for your production is where you make your profit. Now, when your vendors get to know you, when they get to know your personality, they get to know your truthfulness, they get to know your concentration, then they begin to be very comfortable with you. Now, there are several techniques of raising money to build your company. You can get credits from your vendors. If a vendor can give you a 90-day credit, a 1-year credit, 30-day credit, it's also another form of financing. And therefore, if there are vendor associations, I want to encourage you to get involved so that they get to know you and you get to know them. And through that, you're going to get a lot of financing facilities. Also, the products you're going to buy from them, they will become more conscious. They'll give you good quality products because now you are their friend. Now, another level of your business is you need customers. After you've made a product or you conceive the service you're going to give them, you have to sell it to some customers. Now, there are some customer organizations. You need to understand how to become affiliated with your customer organizations because they too need to get to know you. A lot of time we do this through advertisement and publicity. But I think on the personal level, in any institution, there are leaders. And those leaders must begin to be bonded with you by getting to know you. And if they get to know you, you're going to get a lot of business from them, especially if you're selling to groups or institutions. The leaders of these institutions are the ones who make the decisions. So networking for organizations, for individuals to get to know you is critical for the success of your business. You have been told, I'm sure, or you have done some research about how to finance your business. As I said earlier on, customers can become a point of financing. A lot of time when we're thinking financing, we think that the only way to get financing is from the banks or to go and borrow money. There are different types of financing. A customer, a big customer of you can say that, look, I'm going to need 100,000 units from you this year. And for you to take me serious, I'm going to prepay you a portion of that because what I'm buying from you is very critical for my business. And therefore, you can get pre-financing, prepayment from your customer groups. And that is even more necessary why you need to become familiar with them. They need to know you because, as I said, once they begin to trust you, that you're honest, you're not going to run away with their money, you are focused, they will be assisting you to help you finance the cost of buying the inputs that you need to buy to make the products for them.
Okay, let me come in here. How do you approach a typical person you feel will be valuable to your network? For instance, a vendor, a customer, or like you're saying, the leaders of the consumer associations. That let's say you've gone into an environment where you see these people that potentially these are people I could get to rely on to, run my business. How do you do that? How do you approach it?
Well, it's a good question. I think in business you must master the courage and to hide your insecurities. I think most people are open-minded and they'll open up to you. Your boss, Ted Turner of CNN, I was in a restaurant one day in Los Angeles and this man came in and I said, this is my chance. So I just kept quiet until he went to the restroom. So I went and timed him. As soon as he walked out of the restroom, I raised my hand. He talked to me for 30 minutes. Whoa. He was fascinated. I told him I want to be the Ted Turner of Africa. And then where are you from? We had a nice conversation and we became friends. So the thing is, if you really want to meet somebody, master the courage. If it is spontaneous, the more spontaneous, the better. But if you have to do some research to get to know the person, that can also be done. So on the individual level, it's going to have to take your own personal courage and make yourself interesting and learn certain openness, certain sentences that you use to make people comfortable and want to talk to you. Now, for organizations, most businesses or most industries will have associations, will have organizations. So you network into these industries, into these groups through these associations. There are a lot of things on the internet right now. If you are into manufacturing, you can go in there. If it's the United States you want to sell into, the American Manufacturers Association. Just play with the words. Something will come up. And then that will be your lead through which you begin to create bonding alliances, either through individuals or through the organization's head.
Right. Dr. Amwa, typically the places you'd like to go to meet people, potential people who could help your business would be maybe parties and maybe like your joint, for instance, the Citizen Coffee Entertainment Center. Where are some of the other places, more like the unusual places that you're likely to meet these people?
Well, you have church organizations. People. You see, human beings are communal. We belong to different communities, and as a business person, every community begins to be important to you. So you belong to a church, you belong to a professional association. If you're an accountant, there's the Accountants Association. If you're an engineer, the Ghana Engineers Association. If you're a manufacturer, at some point ahead, you want to do designs, you want to be creative. So the Interior Designs Association, the ones in Ghana, the ones in Africa, you reach out. You begin to reach out and do some research and become members of these places. You also have trade fairs, in Ghana, you hear that the trade fair, once in a while, every year, there's some kind of a trade fair for a specific industry. It is important to take time and go out, because this is the playing ground of the people that you need to know. The vendors, the sellers, and you learn a lot just by looking good to somebody's booth and talking to them about what they're doing. And if you have some difficulty, sharing it with them. There are also, I'm thinking of doing something here in Ghana, some associations that will meet here every Monday morning for breakfast. And during that time, they will have one person to talk for about 10 or 15 minutes. This is the way to get to know people, to bond with people. The moment you start bonding with people and getting to know you, it's very easy to do business. In our culture, people go to other people's funerals. Your father dies, they come to your funeral. That's one way of sharing a great bond with you. And then that way, if somebody comes to your mother's funeral, you know that they care for you. So bonding, networking is nothing more than bonding and creating affiliations, positive affiliations to yourself and to your company, and therefore enlarging the prospects of your company and your business.
How do you make sure, and sorry if I'm asking all your questions, but how do you know when not to abuse an opportunity? So you've made contact and you're speaking to the person, but sometimes they're not really in the mood to get to listen to you.
If they are not, you should back off, because you can infuriate somebody. There are certain places that you really don't do that. Like this tenant I was telling you, when I reached out after he shook my hand, if he wasn't interested, I'll have let him go. But he showed interest, because I told him, I remind you, I respect you, I want to be the tenor of Africa. Of course, everybody.
There's that thing that you say to the person to, first of all, excite the person to want to listen to what you have to tell them.
It's important.
So you basically patronize them a little bit.
Yeah, everybody likes to be flattered a little bit. Okay. And,
We're still with Dr. Kofi Amoah of Progeny Ventures, also known as Citizen Kofi. Right now, we're going to take a break, but let me just announce once again, you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM. You're watching us on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, and you may also be watching us on multitvworld.com/streams. We're taking a break, and then we'll come back to you for the concluding part of Dr. Kofi Amoah's presentation, and then we'll take their questions. Stay with us. Welcome back to those of you who are listening to us on Radio Joy 99.7 FM, and to those of you who are watching us on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, and those of you who are also watching us online on multitvworld.com/streams. This is level 300 of My Business 2010, the mentorship class. And we have Dr. Kofi Amoah. He is the Chief Executive of Progeny Ventures, and he's taking us to the value of networking. Pretty shortly, he is going to get to wrap up on his presentation about the value of networking, and then we're going to take some questions from the floor. I've been asking too many questions already, and I have to stop now to give them the opportunity to ask their questions. But first of all, we're going to, before we get going at all, we're going to introduce the mentee, Dr. Kofi Amoah's mentee. She's going to introduce herself. She's mentioned herself already, but now on air, let's get to do that. Let's, Dr. Kofi Amoah, get to know you formally.
Okay. I'm Mary Theresa Yada, and I set up Ejiani Clothing Company Limited. I realized that there's a lot of shoddy work being done as far as fashion designing is concerned in Ghana. And there are various aspects of fashion designing that have not really been gone into in Ghana. So I had this vision of setting up an industry where we produce very good quality clothing, and then we provide other auxiliary services related to fashion designing.
Okay. And what are you looking for from Dr.
I really need to learn about how to run and grow a business. That is why I entered this competition. I have the technical knowledge as far as making clothes is concerned, but I need the business management, the leadership and management aspect of business. And then also, as I said, would like to go into various other services, products and services related to fashion designing. So that means we'll be diversifying into other areas. So I wanted somebody who is involved in various ventures who would direct me on how to identify other opportunities and go into other businesses and be able to run all of them at the same time.
Okay, Doc, do you have anything in common with?
Yeah, she's very ambitious, and so am I. And she's able to identify a niche that the quality of the fashion items can be improved, and so she's going to try and do that. And if she's successful, then she will branch into other areas. Okay. And, I think somebody like that needs to be encouraged.
Let's be a little biased here and give you the opportunity to give her some quick tips on networking. Where should she go to if she wants to hook up with her potential clients?
Well,
and what should she do?
If you want to manufacture clothes, that's what you want to manufacture. You're going to design your own clothes. Okay, so you don't need any creative designs, you have your own designs. So the important thing really is the efficiency of the production system so that you'll be cost effective. And also the key to your business is distribution. Because a lot of times you can make a beautiful item, but if I see a lot of people in this business, they have one store here and they just sit in there, you're not going to get anywhere. If you want to be big in this business, you need to focus on distribution. And there are outlets in Las Vegas, they call the Magic Show. Every year, the whole world meets there. All the big buyers will come there. And you try, the first time you go, don't take anything. Just go and observe and make contacts. And then the next time, there are representatives who will take your items and show them to the big buyers. And if you're able to get a deal, they'll say, give me 10,000 of this, give me 15,000 of that. Then you are getting to the big leagues. And you see, the advantage of doing your business in Ghana is that we have inexpensive labor. Because this, manufacturing clothing is a bit of labor intensive. And you see that all the big manufacturers go to Taiwan, the East Asia, Philippines, because the cheap labor was there. Now, the opportunity is moving gradually to Ghana and Africa. And therefore, if you set yourself properly, the right machinery, the right crew, well-trained and all of that, whoever is doing the cutting for you, the cutting is very, very critical in your business. You can design a nice labor, how you cut it. You get your nice patterns, the quality of the materials that you're using. You can be very big. I think there's a great opportunity for this business in Ghana.
And you're going to help her do that?
I'll give her the best advice I can.
Okay, so we're staying with you. If you have any questions, let's start taking questions from you.
Well, you asked most of my questions, so I think we should go on.
Okay,
that's good.
So let's go around then. Let's take some questions for Dr. Kofi Amoah.
The name is Gloria Bachman-Yankson, Planet Ghana. Yeah. What I want to ask you is, obviously, when it comes to event planning and brand communications, a lot of the business that you get relies on client referrals. Now, and also you need to network with a lot of people from various backgrounds. And sometimes it is critical that you network with people who do not necessarily share your values because they are critical to your business success. So how do you manage that network?
Well, I think if you see value in somebody from the business point of view, then that's what you're sharing. It's not necessarily the different in your value system as opposed to theirs.
You must all wear the same clothes, right?
Yes, exactly, or whatever. The kind of business I do, sometimes, I like to dress nice, I like to be fashionable, I like, and sometimes I need to deal with people from the religious community who may look at it a different way, but it doesn't bother me. So you must be very focused in what you're trying to accomplish and the objective of approaching somebody and exactly what you want from that person, and focus on that. I think as human beings, there are avenues for bonding, as I said earlier on, and you must find that critical path to that person that will create a bond, that will make them open up and do business with you.
Okay. Another question. If you have the microphone, just pick it up and speak.
Yeah, Doc.
Yes.
I would want to
Introduce
put it on
yourself
record.
first.
Yawa Samoa, Creative Trends and Icon Chemist. I would want to say you have a big heart. I met you in front of Citizen Kofi and I stretched my hands and you shook me. You actually gave me your number as well. I want to take you on the breakfast meeting, and I think my company is interested, would want to see you. But the question I want to ask is there a connecting principle in going international or taking your brand international? Is there a connecting principle you need to keep in mind? Because you're dealing with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. Is there any connecting principle you just need to keep in mind so that I can deal with a guy from the US, from Philippines, from Dubai?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, the principle of business is a value proposition. You are creating a value for somebody to be interested. And therefore, whatever that value will be in that particular marketplace is what you must put your pulse on. You know, I mean, the same product may be modified slightly to fit a particular part of the world because, as you said, of cultural considerations and all of that. Naming a company, for instance, this car manufacturing company spent millions of dollars to come up with a name, because a name that may sound good in one country may be really a bad name in another one. So globally, if you're going to go global, these issues are important. But I think as a business, though, you must focus on the value proposition, the value that you're presenting to the marketplace, the value that you're presenting to your consumers. And once that is there, then you'll be competitive. Of course, you're competing on price, you're competing on quality, you're competing on your delivery efficiency, your packaging. All those things come in to inform how well you're going to be successful on the international stage.
Is your question answered?
What about as an individual? Is there anything as an individual you also need to have, apart from the value proposition, i.e. the product or the service? Mm-hmm. As an individual, is there any underlying principle you need to have which will undergird you in going international?
Yes, I mean, you must be a citizen of the world. There's a book out on that. You must appreciate other people's cultures. And I'm not going to say that if you're going to do business in a French country, go and learn French, but it will help, you understand? Because once you're speaking somebody's language, they open up. There's now that communication bond that you've been able to do. So yes, you as a person, you must be open-minded, you must be inclusive, you must be respectful of other people's way of speaking, of thinking, of their culture. And of course, you have to do some research. If you're going to do business in Belgium, please go and read about Belgium. Go and read about their political system. Read a little bit about their history, a little bit about their culture, or the foods that they eat, what that country, what does it stand for. So with that, you'll be able to communicate properly, and then it will reflect on your personality and people open up to you.
And the bit about learning about the other cultures is quite important, because I'm told in China there are some cultural sensitivities that you need to be aware of. Mm-hmm. There's some colors, for instance. Mm-hmm. Yes. It may seem very nice to you. Mm-hmm. If you go to another country, it's offensive for you to display that color.
Yes.
So these are things that you need to learn, like Dr. Kofi Amwa is saying.
Very critical.
Right. So any other, yeah.
Hello, I'm Andrew Niboniquest, Mapex Investments Limited. Dr. Kofi Amwa, I want to know, in the face of global competition, how does building a global business brand in Africa compare to buying a franchise, buying into a reputable global franchise?
Well, I mean, that's an option. The value of a franchise is that systems have already been developed. Markets have been tested. Input products have been validated. So you're becoming a part of a system that is a machinery already in place. However, you pay something for that. You're going to pay significantly for buying into a tested system. And so the decision you have to make is the value of that franchise fee compared to what I can use that money to do in a new marketplace like Ghana, where maybe that particular product does not exist, you know. But if you want to go into the restaurant business, for instance, and you want to do fast food, I've been preaching across the country that although rice is a multi-billion-dollar business that we are underestimating. Now, if somebody wants to bring a McDonald's franchise or a Burger King franchise or fish and chips franchise, that's okay, because they have created a system that they know works.
Dr. Omar, I'm sorry, but I have to interject at this point and allow radio to take a break. Those on radio, Joy FM would like to take a break. So do take your break, and if you can, join us later on. But here on Multi TV, on the Joy News channel, we're continuing. So, Doc, yeah. Yes. So you were making that point.
So but if there's an existing franchise system for the specific business you want to go in, and being in Ghana, being in Africa, they are willing to extend to you, and that locally you can find quality products that you need to buy, the inputs that you need to make it work, it may be very advisable. Because you see, experience is something you cannot go into the store to buy. You cannot read a book to get experience. And therefore, when you start a new business, you're going to make your errors, you're going to make your mistakes. And then before you get to what we call the cookie cutter. And then that's what somebody has done. He's created a system, made his mistakes. Now he has a blueprint that if I do it exactly this way, I'll make money. And therefore, that's what you're buying into.
But, Docs, is it in all cases that you have a franchise working elsewhere? So they may have some peculiar tastes. Let's take Burger King or McDonald's. And there may be a particular way of doing things. Will it necessarily work in Ghana, for instance?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the product. If it is a hamburger you want to sell, and it's the McDonald's type of hamburger you want to sell, then the system is there. But if your business proposition is a certain taste of hamburger, which you think is more palatable to the Ghanaian tongue that you want to offer, then that franchise will not be compatible with your value proposition. So it depends upon that which you want to get into. Now, she wants to be a fashion designer. She has her own creative, how the lady's blouse should look. You cannot go and get into a franchise for someone to design that for you. It is a creative enterprise coming from your own imagination. But for a product, if you want to make a HP computer or whatever in Ghana, you want to assemble it here, it may be better to just cut a deal and then offer it.
Okay.
My name is Adam Abukari. We have dealt extensively with people as regards to bonding, networking and bonding. My focus is with regards to the customers. Once we have been able to attract them, I would want to have a loyal client. What are the attributes that I should exemplify to get that loyalty? Thank you.
Great question. The easiest and most effective way to get customer loyalty is the value you are giving them. But for me, if you want to differentiate yourself from your competitor, give them something that your competitor cannot give them. And a lot of times, it's a technological bond. If you can create a technological bond that is not easily imitated. And I'll give you an example. Western Union, we have a card, a customer card, called the preferred customer card, which every time you use our system, it will database it. And based on the frequency and the volume of business you do with us, we'll give you benefits. We'll give you certain discounts. We'll give you certain gifts. We will also sometimes deliver your money personally to the intended recipient. Now, it is very, very difficult to imitate something immediately. And therefore, when it took us a number of years to create it and introduce it, and once customers come to us and they like our service and they are using that card, it's very difficult for them to throw us away and go to, say, MoneyGram or the other one. So a technological bond is something that if you can create between you and your customers, which the other competitor cannot imitate or easily supplant, you get them for a long time. But always focus on the value you are giving them, because there's always somebody looking at what you're doing. I can provide that same product or service at a cheaper price. I can do it this way. I can make the shed better, faster. I can deliver it better. So your value is what you must focus on. But there are other areas that you can create loyalty through bonding technologically.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Doctor, I'm Esther of Annie Betty's. We are into food, and this is a service industry, and we work more with the workers going. Sometimes you might not be there yourself. And in this networking, how do I train my workers to network with the customers? I want to build a world-class team of workers. So how do you get that?
That's a challenge, but it's also a critical part for your success, because a company is the people who work there. It's not necessarily the owner or the boss. When somebody walks into your company, a lot of time they won't even see you. They are dealing with the people. So there are three things I'll tell you. You must have a service culture in your company. And that service culture is to inculcate into every employee the need to be customer focused, customer friendly, to be polite. And that must be either you need to bring someone to train them, it must be constantly emphasized as the service culture. Then you need what I call the leadership culture. And the leadership culture for your company is the recognition and the awareness that you must constantly train your people. Your management staff must constantly be involved with the junior staff to train them to become a part of the brain trust of the company, a part of the culture of the company, become a part of the company, not just employees. Appendages, they come and go. Be mentally and psychologically bonded to the company. And the last thing, which is for you to survive, is what I call the performance culture. In other words, you are in business to make a profit. You buy goods, you have a cost structure, and you have a revenue structure. Your revenues must always exceed the totality of your costs and expenses for you to stay in business. If you have investors who put money in there, they want a return on that investment. And therefore, you must have that performance culture inculcated into everybody's mind, every employee that you have. Because at the end of the year, if they have done well, you must recognize that they did well, and they must be given a bonus. They must be appreciated, that they will participate in the profits that the company is going to earn. So the service culture, because you need your customers to be happy and to keep coming to you. And then your leadership culture, which is to train your people constantly, and your performance culture is to make a profit.
Okay, yeah.
Hello.
Progressive ICT Systems. I must say, you did a good job with the organization of the Nations Cup.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's something else I forgot to bring up.
Yeah.
I'll charge you.
And then, what I want to say is before the Nations Cup, the organization, there were a lot of bashing from these media houses all around. And in business too, sometimes we meet difficult customers and clients. So I want to know how you dealt with all those bashing from the media houses to help us also deal with difficult business customers and clients so as not to derail us from our plan of actions.
Great question, but your last sentence is the answer. So are not to derail us from the objective. You're right. When this job was given to us, right on the radio, we were being criticized that the proposal we even sent to CAF was shameful or this and that. But, I knew what I had done. We had strategized. We thought, this is our strategy. We knew the countries we were competing with, and I knew the strategy that Ghana had to adopt to win. And therefore, if I'm being criticized, it's fair. I mean, you know, but the end result validated that our strategy was the right strategy. So if you are in business and you're doing your business, focus on it. Obviously, you don't live in a vacuum. You live in a community. Be sensitive to what people are saying, but don't take it too hard. You must be strong. A friend of mine told me, in business, you must have a double heart. And sometimes he says, no conscience. I don't believe in that. But it's that you must be that tenacious, and you must be that focused, and you must be that determined, and you must be confident and in your sense of hard work, that you've done your best thinking, you've come up with a strategy that you think will work, you are implementing that strategy, and that you stay focused.
Okay. In other words, he said that the media didn't bash him, we just kept him on his toes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and we are having a nice time with you.
Your name?
My name is Abdallah Abdurrahman. Yes. I'm the CEO of Third Eye Security Services Limited. And today I'm known for Citizen Abdallah.
Good.
He's taking the citizen already.
Taking it. Join the club.
Doc, my question is, in business, we start alone. You have the vision, so you start alone. As a business grow and become big, and sometimes maybe you cannot manage it alone, or sometimes even finances to manage the business or to grow the business become a challenge. Mm-hmm. So at what point in time do you think that, okay, I need to invite maybe partners into the business so that I can grow the business? Thank you.
Okay, great. Another great question. There's a difference between entrepreneurship and a company. An entrepreneur, you are entrepreneurs. Okay, you are dreamers. You are also initiators. You have a dream, and you have the courage to initiate something that will get you to the dream. That passion of being an entrepreneur is that gets something going. But as you get to a certain point, you must realize that now your entrepreneurial zeal, the passion that you had, must become pragmatic, must become practical. That alone can no longer sustain the business. Now you need an accounting department. You need somebody who is going to keep the books properly, because you can't do a business just like when you start. Now you may need human resources department, that to make sure that the human resource of your company are well taken care of. They are properly trained, and their welfare system is there for them to be incentivized. You may need a marketing department, depending upon what you're doing. If you're doing selling clothes, you need to engage in the marketplace. You need to start advertising. You need to designing your logos and all of that. Bill Gates, if you read his book, these are challenges that these people have. He was the visionary. He started, got to a point that he had to bite the bullet and let some functions go. It's very difficult. Some people fail because they want to do everything, because they started doing everything. But I guess to a point, you have to know when to allow yourself that, yes, I am the chairman of the board, or whatever position you think you must have, that other experts must also come in to now make your business.
At what point do you get to know that?
I think it is difficult to see this, but I think when you see your volume increasing, your sales are increasing, you see that now you need to have more employees. You used to have 10 employees, now you have to have 20. You know, you must also be careful, because you don't want to create a heavy load cost structure of so many managers and all of that. So it is one of those elastic things that you just check and move on. And if you need advice, these are where the KPMGs of the world are there. You can go. This is where my business is now. I'm beginning to have some difficulties, but I don't think I have the cash flow to really bring a lot of heavyweights. What is the right way to go? Every business is going to be managed differently in crossing from entrepreneurship to being a company. But I think you, the company person, you know, you start to feel it. If you're doing too much, you're tired all the time, you know, you are delegating, but you are still not delegating. Even though you delegated, your eye is still there. You know, it becomes too much.
Okay. At what point did you, or have you, actually delink yourself?
I love business. I'll never delink myself. But I have a marketing manager. I have a real estate department, a full architect heading that. I have a finance and accounting department. I have a human resources area.
So you can't let go?
No, it's not a let go. I mean, I am not retired, okay? And I also, like Citizen Coffee, I'll tell you. When I opened Citizen Coffee, I brought 3 experts from the US for a 1-year contract, the general manager, the executive chef, the bar manager, because the level of efficiency and service
that
we expected, we couldn't get it here. So I brought them for 1-year contract.
Was it that bad? You couldn't get it here?
Well, the business, that industry in Ghana is not developed. It really isn't. I mean, you have people go to school to learn how to mix drinks for 3 years. You know, but
or probably it was hard to find, and so probably you decided it was easier.
Yeah, easier. But these people were brought in to train the local people so that after 1 year they can leave. Now, frankly, when they left, we started having some difficulties, you know. And then now, as we speak now, I have to go back and insert myself into the company to try to regulate things, and it's getting better. Once you get to a certain point, you see, when you have certain expertise and certain skills, why deny your own company those skills? It doesn't make sense. So this is what I'm doing now. Now, the fact that you appoint other people to take certain positions, you're still in charge, you know. I mean, if they're efficient and they're delivering, you will see it. If they are not, you can counsel them, you know. But you need to know when does the entrepreneurship zeal end and the corporate structure must emerge.
Okay. Tony.
I am Tony Senaya. Doc, I would like to know when you first had the idea that you want to bring Western Union to Ghana and for that matter Africa, did you have the needed cash to start up? I am asking this question again, the backdrop that if you have an idea, like a project you want to embark on, but at the current state you don't have the necessary capital, how do you talk to people, partner them, and still have a stake in the project?
You've asked a question that enables me to tell you something that I must tell you. Because it is a big problem in this country, and it's stopping our progress. Because everybody says no capital, there's no capital, there's no capital. There's plenty of capital. Now, if you have a good idea, listen to me carefully. If you have a good idea, the money to do the idea must come from the idea. I'll repeat. Write it down. If you have a good idea, the money to do the idea must come from the idea. In other words, if the idea is so powerful, then the structuring of the idea to be implementable, which includes the managerial know-how that you need to infuse into it, which includes the finances that you need to include into it, would validate the direction and the vehicle through which you get the money to do it. Now, the world is made up of 2 groups of people. You have those who have a lot of money, but either they don't have any more ideas or they are not interested to find any ideas. And then you have this group here, very smart, young, brilliant, the Silicon Valley type, the Sergey Brin who invented Google, 22, 23 years old, who became billionaires overnight. We have some in Ghana here. Now, these people are the idea people. They are the dreamers. They are the guys who said that Facebook would work, a platform where people put their pictures and this and that. But they don't have the money. You understand? Now, these 2 groups of people must meet. Because you got people here with money who want to make more money. And if you stand in front of them and describe to them the opportunity that you have, and your description is so infectious because you've done your homework, that every question they ask you, you have some kind of an answer, you will get your money to do your idea. And therefore, I want to discourage this mentality in this country that everybody is talking about, where if I don't have the money, it's stopping a lot of our young people from progressing. Being an entrepreneur is hard. You must do the initial legwork, the research. That's the sweat work. That's what we call sweat equity. You must sweat it out. People come to me with ideas, they want to borrow money, and then, they haven't done anything. They haven't done any research. They haven't suffered. They haven't really gone through the nuts and bolts to convince a potential investor that here's the guy that, or here's the lady that I should put my money in. So if you want to be successful, you can be successful. I used to be a shoe shine boy. Now I can sit down with anybody, now not to be arrogant, just to share my life with you and have a decent conversation about any kind of business. Because I've taken myself through the process of acquiring knowledge to the point that I know that if I want to do something and I need the money, I'll find a way to do it. Let me share you another story. Okay. This same place I met a tenor. It was called Trump's, a very high-end restaurant in Beverly Hills.
Is it Trump Towers?
No, this is Trump's. It was a restaurant in Los Angeles called Trump's.
Anything to do with Donald Trump?
No, nothing. Just the name Trump seems to commandeer. Whatever. At that time, I was putting safes. I had read about this product in a magazine. By the way, apart from Western Union, all my businesses are from magazines. I read a lot. You come to my house and there's magazines around me. After school, that's when you start learning. And if you are an entrepreneur, please subscribe to as many business magazines as you can. Read them. As you're reading them, be thinking about your business. Inc. magazine is a magazine that people like you send their problem. They are describing a problem they used to have and how they solved it. You can learn a lot. That's the value of networking. Doesn't mean just through human beings. Networking through magazines. Networking through books. Through periodicals. That's even more powerful than what a person can tell you. Anyway, I had read about this product. It was an electronic safe, very new, coming into the market. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I got myself involved. How I got myself involved is too long a story, but that's also another lecture. But I needed $2 million to implement a project. Okay? But I had done my business plan. Okay? I've done all my questions and answers. I've even stood in front of my mirror, how I do my presentation, you know, when a question comes. I've done all that. So, and another thing about networking, you know, I went to this place. It was known for where rich people go, this Trump's place. I wanted to have a drink, you know, and at the bar, these rich white guys, we're talking. "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I mean, right now I'm looking for money." Right now, I'm looking for money to do this idea that I have, this great idea that will make a lot of money. One of the guys says, "What is it?" So I told him, and he was quiet for a while. I said, "Hey, you may be the solution to my problem." I said, "What problem?" He said, "I have these rich friends from Europe. They've sent me money to invest. I don't know what to invest it in." Gave his card. Call me on Monday, let's meet. Call him, talked a little bit, went for lunch. We got more intrigued. It was a Monday. Wednesday, we went to my lawyer's office, drew up a memorandum of understanding. By the end of that week, I had my $2 million. You understand? But it was possible because I had done my business plan. Okay, I was able to convince him. You know, I was able to show him things. I was able to show how his money will be paid back. I've done all that. Understand? And so, if you want to be successful, concentrate. What are you bringing to the table? You're not bringing money to the table. You're bringing your freshness, your ability and willingness to work hard, to do the research, to do the sweat. That's what you're bringing. So do that. Bring that to the table. And then the guy will also bring his money, and together you make money together. You know.
Really powerful point. He says that in every powerful idea should lie the plan for you to access your finances.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, on the back of that though, sometimes you're so eager to get an investor, somebody who can invest in your idea. How can you manage that so that they don't take over your idea? And then it's all about them and not you anymore. Okay, that's a very sensitive area.
From Citizen Gloria.
So it's a sensitive area, but as a young beginning person, the advice I will give you is this. Don't worry too much about somebody stealing your idea. Don't. most people are honest people. And the one person that may not be honest should not discourage you from seeking your path. Now, there's what we call a disclosure statement. It's a form, very basic one-page legal form, where, you know, you sign and the person signs that I'm discussing this idea with you, and that you will not circumvent me, you will not go around me to do it without my involvement, you know. Some people may sign, some may not. So when somebody comes to me to start, because it happened to me, somebody may come, they think they have a unique idea, they're telling them, I'll tell them, please stop here. A lot of time I'll show them that I'm already working on this, okay? I don't want you to go stand somewhere, I took your idea. Yeah. Now, if you still want to talk to me and see if I can help you, continue, you know. So sometimes it's not so much that somebody's stealing your idea. Ideas spring up simultaneously in different parts of the world, you know. Even research scientists, they say they've discovered something sometimes within days. It came to you, finish it, and then, you know, the German people finish theirs. So don't become a protector of an idea that somebody will steal it. No, just if they steal it, there'll be another one. Just, you know.
What I really wanted to ask, or maybe that was not really asked properly, was they've invested money. They do not see your value, your intellectual value. They do not see that value, and therefore they feel as if they can control the business because it's their money. That's what I mean. Okay, that one, Citizen Gloria, in the beginning stages of drawing up a partnership agreement or equity sharing agreement or whatever it is, must be very, very descriptive, okay? Well, all these things are common sense. I didn't have money to hire a lawyer. My first business with Western Union, that I didn't have money. So I drafted some of the initial agreements myself. Common sense. I can tell my name is in the California Superior Court as having been able to draft an agreement which seems to be perpetual. Because they say there's nothing like a perpetual agreement. Every agreement must come to an end. When I was doing business with Western Union, I was thinking, hey, this thing, in the beginning, there will be no money. At some point, it will be big money. But if they kick me out, okay? So I started thinking, how should I protect myself, you know? And therefore, these are all challenges that will come your way in the initial stages. Usually people are honest, but when the money starts coming, it becomes a problem. So protect yourself. If you can get a lawyer, write it properly, and everybody's protected. There's no way you come up with the idea and they kick you out.
Okay. I said that was going to be the last question, but Citizen Gosh hasn't spoken, and so I'll give him the chance to ask his question. Gosh.
Yes, sir. I am into distribution, and I distribute mobile airtime for the networks in the country. Yes, these networks are competing against themselves, which is my responsibility to distribute their airtime to the consumers. But there has been certain problems which some of the networks are facing. But it's my right to make sure the consumer have it clear. I have an idea to communicate or to let them know what is going on the ground. But I try my best to send the messages to them, but it doesn't work. But I have been able to bond my community. They have entrusted me. I'm doing my service very well. Everything is going very well. But the problem is still there. And I don't know how to go about it.
Okay. I gather that what you want to say is that you have been able to gather feedback on some problems regarding with the networks for whose recharge unit you're selling, and yet you're trying to communicate it to the networks and they're not getting it, or they're not solving the problem.
They're not solving the problem.
Okay.
Well, you have what I call a piggyback business. You are piggybacking on somebody's business, and this kind of challenge is very common. The business doesn't belong to you. You are one appendage of the business, and what I'll say is this. if you have the ear of one of the managers, try to use him as a vehicle to get your problem accepted seriously and discussed. But general advice to all of you: anytime you are piggybacking on somebody's business, yeah, like a phone company, you're selling their recharge cards, Western Union, on somebody's business, Israeli, somebody's TV station. You are useful, but you are also expendable. Business is, you have to be very, you have to look at things very direct. You are useful, but you're also expendable. But you can make yourself useful to a point that you become indispensable. Until you get to that point, you have to keep doing what you're doing. They won't listen to me, but I won't give up, That's the tenacity that you have to bring to some business relationships that eventually will pay off. So I think my advice is, if you have, write it down, communicate with one of the managers, send it to them, and see how best you can do it. Okay. Because it's their business, and
But I can assure you that because this is going out live, they are listening. And so they would want to get in touch with you as quickly as possible and find out what is it, the problems that you're facing and the feedback you want to give to them, so that they would want to do something about it. So rest assured, I'm sure you'll be getting some answers pretty shortly. But that's just about it for today's lecture. We have to wrap it up at this point. But thank you very much, Dr. Kofi Amoah, Chief Executive of Progeny Ventures, for making time to come share some of the knowledge you have acquired as a business person with us here. And to those of you who listen to us on radio, Joy 99.7 FM, those of you who listen online, myjoyonline.com, those of you who also watching us on TV, on the Joy News channel on Multi-TV, and those of you who are also watching us online at multitvworld.com/streams. We say thank you very much for making the time to be with us. This is going to be over. After the cameras roll, we're continuing to have some interactions with Dr. Kofi Amoah in the studio, except that you'll be missing out. But no problem. Those of us, that's a privilege we get. So thank you once again for making time with us. And then I'm sure the class would also want to say thank you to you. Make a date with us next week, because tomorrow and over the weekend we're not going to have any shows. But we'll announce to you when next we're having our show. Thank you once again. Thank you very much, Doc.
Watching everything there is to see. Live an exciting life with Multi-TV. Every morning, day and night. Programs designed for your delight. Have some fun with Multi-TV. Kill the bottom with Multi-TV. Boost your business with Multi-TV. Multi-TV, more TV for free. Entertainment.